Long time no see, this is YouTube Medical University. Today, there's something I want you to know. About 1 in 8 Japanese adults, roughly 14.8 million people, have decreased function in a certain organ. Moreover, most of them have zero noticeable symptoms. By the time you notice, it might be too late and you could end up spending your days lying on a dialysis bed. The kidneys are known as the silent organs. The liver might be similar, but the kidneys are even more insidious. That's because once the kidneys are damaged, they hardly ever recover. But please don't worry. A lot of cutting-edge research to protect the kidneys has been conducted between 2024 and 2025. Moreover, many of them are things you can start doing at home today. So in today's first period, we'll go over your health checkup results together. Actually, most people overlook those numbers. I'll also explain exercises to strengthen your kidneys and the correct way to consume protein based on the latest guidelines. In the second period, we'll talk about coffee, water, salt, and phosphorus, and focus on these 4 lifestyle habits. Have you ever heard that coffee protects your kidneys? In a recent paper from 2025, its effects are shown in numbers. And in the second half of the video, I'll also talk about lifestyle habits that you should absolutely avoid because they can damage your kidneys. If you watch until the end, it will change how long your kidneys last. Alright, YouTube Medical University, let's start the lesson. Now, please take a look at this first. Mr. Teru Tanaka, a 58-year-old man. eGFR 52. Blood pressure 142/88. Hemoglobin A1C 6.2%, uric acid 7.8, urine protein plus minus. Now, there are actually a lot of people with test results like these. What do you all think when you see these results? Honestly, when you see all these numbers lined up, you probably don't know how to interpret them. Unfortunately, Mr. Tanaka is already in stage 3A of chronic kidney disease, which means his condition has worsened. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is this value called eGFR. This is a number that shows kidney function, and for Mr. Tanaka, this value is 52. In other words, his kidney function has dropped to about half of what is considered healthy. It's like having a car engine where only half of it is working, but the car still runs normally. What do you think would happen if you just left it like that? The engine would be heavily strained and keep breaking down more often, right? On top of that, in this state with kidney disease, the systolic blood pressure is 142, which is relatively high. This blood pressure is also continuously damaging the kidneys. And then, the uric acid level. It's something you might be tempted to ignore, but in fact, having a high uric acid level damages the kidneys. It's a risk factor. And actually, the value that represents the average blood sugar level is this thing called hemoglobin A1C. A value of 6.2% indicates a pre-diabetic condition. If you develop diabetes, the high blood sugar can cause kidney damage. And this also becomes a risk. So, I think you can see that even a health checkup like this can reveal a considerable risk of kidney damage. Try to find your health checkup results and check your own eGFR value. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments. Now, moving on to the main topic of this session, I think many of you might be wondering what you should do about exercise and diet if you're worried about your kidneys. Actually, this is a topic in the latest research, and it has been found that exercise and protein, these two things are important. New findings are coming out one after another in recent papers. Let's look at them one by one. First, regarding exercise, here's what we've learned recently. This condition called sarcopenia is actually something that people with kidney problems should pay special attention to. So what is sarcopenia? It's a condition where your muscles become thinner and weaker. In a 2024 study that gathered more than 42,000 people with kidney disease from around the world, about 24%, in other words 1 in 4, of those with kidney disease were found to have this muscle wasting condition called sarcopenia. Why is that? The reason is simple. When your kidneys get worse, waste products build up in your body. Those waste products speed up the breakdown of your muscles. On top of that, people with kidney disease tend to get less exercise, so it's harder for them to build muscle, and the speed at which their muscles break down increases, creating a vicious cycle. Furthermore, a study from China in 2025 reported that kidney disease patients who walk slowly had about 2.14 times higher risk of death. Just walking slowly, something as simple as that, can be a matter of life and death. So what should you do? The answer is simple. Exercise. There was a time, quite a while ago, when people said that kidney disease patients shouldn't exercise, but that common belief has now been overturned. In a study conducted by Greenwood and colleagues in 2015 people who exercised compared to those who did not, it was reported that the decline in kidney function measured by eGFR was about 7.8 less per year for medical professionals. The fact that the 7.8 shows just how important this number is. Let me share a story about one of my outpatient clinic patients here. He was a 68-year-old man. He had stage 3 chronic kidney disease with an eGFR of 48. Doctor, is dialysis my only option now? I still remember the anxious look on his face when he asked me that, so I talked to him about exercise, just like I mentioned earlier, and advised him to try walking for 30 minutes every day. There's no need to walk fast. Just walk at a pace where you can chat with the person next to you. I call this the smiling pace. Walk for 30 minutes at a pace where you can talk and smile. 3 months later, he had faithfully walked for 30 minutes every day. His kidney function value, called eGFR, had slightly improved. Of course, this improvement may not be due to exercise alone, and the value can fluctuate a bit, so it could be just a margin of error or something like that. However, as the data I mentioned earlier shows, exercise definitely has the power to protect the kidneys. Let me give you some practical exercise guidelines as a reference. Please feel free to take a screenshot or make a note. For aerobic exercise, aim for at least 30 minutes a day, 3 to 5 times a week. Walking, swimming, cycling, anything is fine, and resistance training, or what we commonly call strength training, is also important. For exercises like squats or heel raises, do 1 set of 10 repetitions and aim for 2 to 3 sets, 2 to 3 times a week. Please remember not to overdo it. The key to exercise is consistency, so it's best to stop while you still want to do more. This way, you'll look forward to doing it again tomorrow and avoid overdoing it. And secondly, the next new common sense is protein. Protein is inseparable from exercise. In the past, people used to say that those with kidney problems should limit their protein intake. However, the guidelines revised in 2024 have brought about a major change in thinking. To get straight to the point, even if you are in stage 1 or 2 of kidney disease, there is no need for extreme protein restriction. And even if you progress to stage 3 of kidney disease, it is actually recommended to have as much as 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. In other words, for someone who weighs 60 kilograms, it is recommended to consume 48 grams of protein per day. And here's an important point. When it comes to protein, quality is just as important as quantity. In a large-scale study conducted in 2025 with about 94,000 participants, it was found that consuming more plant-based protein, the group had about a 25% lower risk of developing kidney disease. Tofu, natto, edamame, lentils. These are kidney-friendly sources of protein. On the other hand, red meat. Eating a lot of processed meat puts more strain on your kidneys. I'm not saying you have to give up steak, but how about changing just 1 day a week when you usually eat meat to a meal centered around plant-based protein, like soybeans? It should make a difference in your future risk of kidney disease. Here at YouTube Medical University, we share ways to prevent illness and information on preventive medicine based on data and from the perspective of an active physician. If you found any of this helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button or subscribe to the channel. And one more thing, I've created a PDF file that summarizes today's lesson. It condenses the dietary and lifestyle habits to protect your kidneys onto a single page. I'm offering it for free. If you're interested, register with the official link in the description and send the word kidney. Now, let's move on to the second period. In this session, we'll talk about lifestyle habits. I'll introduce 4 lifestyle habits to protect your kidneys. Here's the first one. It's coffee. Huh? Is coffee good for your kidneys? If you're wondering that, in 2025, a study like this was published. In a large-scale study involving about 49,000 people, those who drank 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day, compared to those who didn't, were found to have about a 24% lower risk of kidney disease. Why is coffee good for your kidneys? The substances contained in coffee. It is believed that a polyphenol called chlorogenic acid suppresses inflammation and oxidative stress in the kidneys. In a sense, it acts like a fire extinguisher for the kidneys. However, there are 3 things to keep in mind. First, drink it black. Sugar and cream in coffee can raise your blood sugar levels. Second, if you are sensitive to caffeine, don't push yourself. Third, if your kidney function is significantly reduced, there may be issues with potassium, so consult your doctor. While there are these precautions, coffee is a great ally for your kidneys. 4 lifestyle habits to protect your kidneys. The second one is fluid intake. Next, let's talk about water. Drinking plenty of water is good for your kidneys. I think many people believe this, don't they? You need to be careful with simple, pleasant sounding information like this will cure your kidneys. There was a study like this in 2018. It targeted about 600 patients with stage 3 kidney disease who drank a lot of water. They tracked 2 groups for a year. One drank lots of water, the other drank a normal amount. As a result, whether they drank a lot of water or a normal amount, there was no significant difference in kidney function. In fact, drinking too much water could even put a strain on your heart. So what should we do? It means that you just need to be mindful enough to avoid dehydration. Becoming dehydrated increases the risk of worsening kidney function, so don't hold back when you feel thirsty. It's enough to just be aware and keep yourself in an environment where you can drink water anytime. Our bodies have excellent sensors, so don't ignore the signals from your body. Also, the color of your urine can be a good reference. If your urine is a light yellow color, it's generally safe to assume you're not dehydrated. Please use these points as a reference. 4 lifestyle habits to protect your kidneys. The third one is salt. Some people may think that consuming too much salt is bad for your kidneys. A lot of people probably think that, right? I'll talk about what you can specifically do, but Japanese people tend to consume a lot of salt. On average, Japanese people take in about 10 grams of salt per day. However, for people with kidney disease, the recommended daily intake is less than 6 grams. In other words, on average, you need to cut about 40% of the salt you usually consume, so you'll really need to change your mindset. The connection between the kidneys and salt is related to blood pressure. Lowering your salt intake reduces your body's water retention, and as a result, your blood pressure goes down. And when the pressure inside your blood vessels drops, it reduces the burden on your kidneys, which slows down the decline in kidney function. Because of this chain reaction, you really need to be careful about your salt intake. I'll give you 3 specific tips, so please remember them. First, switch from pouring to dipping. Instead of pouring seasonings like soy sauce on your food beforehand, try dipping just a small amount right before you eat. Second, make use of dashi, kelp, dried bonito. Choose dishes that are satisfying even without salt by using the umami of mushrooms. Spicy or sour flavors are also recommended. Third, reduce processed foods. Ham, sausage, and instant noodles are loaded with salt. What do you think? Is there something you might try? Please declare it in the comments section. Making a declaration increases your chances of success. 4 habits to protect your kidneys. Fourth, it's phosphorus. Everyone, have you ever heard of phosphorus? Actually, phosphorus is one of the very important minerals for building bones and teeth. However, when your kidneys become impaired, it becomes difficult to eliminate phosphorus from your body. What happens when phosphorus builds up in your blood? Your blood vessels become hard and stiff. When that happens, your blood vessels are more likely to become clogged. The risk of serious diseases like heart attacks and strokes increases. What should you do? Aim to lower the phosphorus in your diet. Actually, without realizing it, everyone is taking in hidden phosphorus. That's food additives. This substance called phosphate, which is found in food additives, is contained in large amounts in things like ham, sausage, instant noodles, and even soft drinks. And these are called inorganic phosphorus. There are 2 types of phosphorus, organic phosphorus and inorganic phosphorus. Inorganic phosphorus is absorbed by the body at a higher rate, so the more you consume, the more your phosphorus levels tend to increase. Organic phosphorus is found in many natural foods, but its absorption rate is low, so when you go shopping, try to reduce processed foods as much as possible and check the ingredient labels on the back of products. Please pay attention to words like phosphate or pyrophosphate. So finally, here's the third point. In the second point, I recommended things that are good for your kidneys, but now I'll introduce things you absolutely should not do. 3 bad habits that damage your kidneys. Here's the first one. Taking too many painkillers. This is a story that actually happened in my outpatient clinic. A 62-year-old woman, her kidney function was originally normal. However, she complained of knee pain. She started taking over-the-counter painkillers, and because she became afraid of the pain returning, she continued taking the painkillers for almost 3 years, even though her pain had subsided. And when she came to see me, compared to her previous results, her eGFR, which had been over 60, had dropped to 38. In just 3 years, her kidney function had almost halved. Of course, there are other factors besides over-the-counter drugs, but some painkillers can put a strain on the kidneys. These drugs belong to a group called NSAIDs, with common examples like Loxonin. While these medications are usually safe for short-term use, using them over a long period can cause serious damage. So, if you need to take painkillers for a long time, I strongly recommend consulting your doctor before using them. There are also painkillers that are less stressful on the kidneys. 3 bad habits that damage your kidneys. Here is the second one, placing too much trust in health foods and supplements. There are a lot of supplements that claim to be good for your kidneys. But as far as I can confirm at this point, there are no supplements that actually improve kidney function when taken. Moreover, some supplements can actually put a strain on your kidneys instead. Even herbal medicines like Campo can sometimes put a strain on the kidneys. The exercise and protein mentioned in my first lecture, and the eating habits I talked about in the second lecture, these are the basics. I want you to be careful about simplistic information like, your kidneys will be cured with this supplement. 3 bad habits that damage your kidneys. The third one is being overconfident and thinking, I'm fine. Kidney disease doesn't have any noticeable symptoms, like feeling sluggish. Some of you may have heard about symptoms like swollen legs or foamy urine, but these only appear when the condition is already quite serious. In the very early stages, there are no symptoms at all. Overconfidence and thinking you're fine can be dangerous. What's important is to check the changes in your kidney function through an annual health checkup. Check your numbers carefully every year, even if they're a bit low. And if those values remain unchanged, it's unlikely to become a problem in your lifetime. On the other hand, even if your kidney function looks good, if it drops sharply after a year, that's something you need to be more careful about. So please pay attention to your eGFR value and protein in your urine. Please make sure to check these values. I've explained how to interpret these values in a previous video. If you're interested, there's a link in the description, so please check it out. Here are 3 action plans you can start today. First, tomorrow, take out your health checkup results and check your eGFR value. If it's below 60, please be sure to consult your regular doc or a nephrologist. Second, starting today, let's begin walking at a comfortable pace for 30 minutes a day. It's the simplest and most effective way to strengthen your kidneys. Third, think of your diet in terms of subtraction. Reduce salt intake, reduce processed foods, reduce red meat. Instead, try increasing tofu, fish, and vegetables. Reduce and add. This is the core principle of a kidney protective diet. Once kidneys are damaged, they generally can't recover to their original state. But if you change your habits starting today, you can slow down the progression of further damage. You can stop it from getting worse. If you teach your body the right way, it will respond properly. Tell me in the comments what you want to start doing today, or what you've been working hard on until now, and how your kidney results turned out. Please let me know. It should be helpful for others as well. I read all of your comments and replied to them, so if you'd like, please leave a comment. And please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. If you could do that to support me, it would really encourage me. Well then, today's lesson is over. Please take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video. As a general practitioner, I've learned from my patients about how to live without aging. Starting in your 70s, I want to live like this too. I never knew there was such a way of life. These stories are filled with what I've learned from many patients. Chatting with friends is more important than exercise. When it comes to medicine, less is more. This is packed with wisdom from seniors on how to live healthily and happily at any age. Please check it out from the description below.